I never thought a single night could change my life forever. I mean, I was just your typical guy, reckless, a little mischievous, teasing my friends, flirting shamelessly with girls I barely knew. Naughty, yes, but I thought I was untouchable, unshakable. That illusion shattered the moment she walked into my life, smiling sweetly, with a glint in her eyes that screamed mischief far darker than mine. At first, I didn't notice the danger. She was soft-spoken, charming, and somehow terrifying in her calm. One evening, after one of my typical dares, stupid, overconfident, reckless, she cornered me in her room. "You like teasing others, don't you?" she asked softly, almost innocent. My usual grin faltered. Well, sometimes, I stammered, feeling that first unexplainable chill run down my spine. "I think it's time you learned what it feels like to be on the other side," she whispered. I laughed, nervously, brushing it off. But when I looked in the mirror that night, I didn't recognize myself. My face was softer, my jawline less angular, my chest. Well, I could see subtle curves forming. Panic erupted. "No. This isn't real," I muttered, pressing my hands to my body, trying to shrink, to will it away. But my reflection stared back, impossibly delicate, undeniably feminine. The first days were sheer chaos. Walking through my own house, I felt every glance from the mirror cut me like a blade. I couldn't meet my friends' eyes. Texts from them arrived, teasing me about looking different, and I wanted to laugh, scream, vanish. My mom asked why my voice sounded higher, and even the mailman looked at me like I'd grown wings overnight. Every ordinary interaction became a minefield. At school, I felt exposed. Classmates whispered, stared, pointed, not cruelly, but in fascination. "You changed?" someone asked softly, barely concealing a grin. I mumbled something incoherent, wishing the floor would swallow me. Even simple tasks, walking, sitting, raising my hand, felt foreign. My body no longer obeyed me in the way I expected. Curves shifted with every movement, gestures became delicate without my permission, and the weight of my new presence felt simultaneously heavy and intoxicating. The worst part? She watched it all with that calm, unnerving smile. "You're learning," she said once, her eyes studying me like a painter examining a canvas. "This is only the beginning." When I was alone, I began to explore. Tentatively, I slipped into the clothes she'd prepared, soft skirts, delicate tops, lacy underwear I never imagined I'd wear. Silk brushed my skin, hugging curves I didn't know I had. My reflection startled me every time, yet a small thrill sneaked past the panic. I experimented with makeup, her instructions whispered in my mind. Foundation, blush, mascara, every brushstroke changed not just my appearance, but my awareness of myself. My lips felt softer, my eyes larger, my voice higher. I tried speaking, and the sound of it sent shivers down my spine. "Is this me?" I whispered. It wasn't the boy I knew, and yet, a strange fascination pulsed through me. Even the way I moved became different. Hips swayed naturally now, shoulders relaxed, hands gliding delicately. The sensation was alien, thrilling, and frightening. Every reflection became a test. Could I recognize myself? Could I reconcile this soft, feminine body with the boy I once was? Curiosity overpowered fear, and I began to twirl in front of the mirror, adjusting clothing, hair, makeup. Each minute detail was a discovery. Public exposure came faster than I expected. She insisted we go out. Shopping, cafes, even a small party. My heart pounded in my chest as we stepped outside. Heads turned. Eyes lingered. Every step made me hyper-aware of my new curves, my soft voice, my delicate movements. I wanted to vanish. But she squeezed my hand and whispered, "Walk with confidence. You are hers now." And slowly, I learned. Compliments came. "You look amazing," someone said at a cafe. My lips parted, a soft, melodic thank you escaping. The attention. It was intoxicating. Fear mingled with exhilaration. With every glance, every whisper, every subtle smile from strangers, I felt a thrill I had never known. I was learning to inhabit this new self, to walk, talk, and exist in a body that was no longer just mine. It was hers, and yet becoming mine in a strange, compelling way. At a small party with friends, the real test arrived. I walked in, heels clicking, skirt swaying, hair cascading in soft waves, makeup impeccable. The room went silent. I could feel the weight of every gaze, every whispered comment. Friends froze, mouths open in disbelief. "You look wow," one friend stammered. Panic flared. I wanted to run, hide, disappear. But I remembered her voice. "Own it." I lifted my chin, smiled softly, and said, "Thanks. I've been exploring a new side of myself." The silence broke. Compliments, curiosity, questions flowed. People saw me, truly saw me, and for the first time, I realized I could exist in this femininity fully without shame. Every glance became affirmation. Every whisper became encouragement. Weeks passed. I grew accustomed to public life in this new body. Shopping trips, coffee runs, even casual walks became exercises in confidence. I discovered the power in visibility, the way presence could command attention without force, the subtle influence of softness paired with poise. She had feminized me overnight, yes, but I had begun to claim that femininity as my own. At home, late at night, I stared at the mirror. My hair framed my soft face perfectly, makeup highlighted delicate features, and my curves looked radiant. I traced my lips with my fingertips, whispering, "I am hers, and I am me." The transformation had been forced, but acceptance became choice. And in that choice, I discovered something deeper than fear or thrill: empowerment. I was visible. I was alive. I was unapologetically present. The final step came at a formal gathering. A gala, filled with strangers, whispers, and cameras. My heart pounded as I entered. Every step, every movement was deliberate. Heels clicking, dress flowing, hair cascading, makeup flawless. Heads turned. Eyes lingered. And this time, I didn't shrink. Compliments came naturally. I smiled, nodded, spoke gracefully. I had control now, not over the transformation itself, which had been hers, but over how I chose to inhabit it. Every glance, every whisper, every subtle attention reinforced the truth: I could exist in this femininity fully, confidently, proudly. Later, she whispered in my ear, "Do you feel it? The power? The life you've unlocked?" "Yes," I whispered. "I feel alive. I feel complete. I am proud of her. Proud of me." Now, alone in my room, I study my reflection. My body is soft yet strong, delicate yet commanding. I trace my fingers along my lips, my cheeks, my collarbones. I am hers. I am alive. I am powerful. I am me. Fear, shame, disbelief, they are gone. In their place, pride, liberation, and authenticity. I had been forced into this transformation, yes, but by choosing to embrace it fully, I discovered the greatest transformation of all: myself. People notice now. Friends, family, strangers. They see me, and I am visible, radiant, confident. The journey from panic to curiosity, from secrecy to exploration, from fear to empowerment, it all led here. I am alive in a way I never imagined. And as I whisper softly to my reflection, one final truth resonates: transformation isn't just about changing the body. It's about courage, authenticity, and embracing power where vulnerability once reigned. I had been a naughty boy, reckless and defiant, but in becoming her girl, I discovered strength, beauty, and myself. I am hers, yes, but I am mine too. And that truth is intoxicating. The first few days after that night were surreal. Every routine, every ordinary interaction suddenly felt like walking through a minefield. My reflection in the mirror no longer looked like me, or at least, the boy I once was. My jawline was softer, my cheeks rounder, my chest. Well, I could already feel subtle curves forming. I touched my body hesitantly, panic rising with every movement. At school, it was impossible to blend in. Friends whispered, classmates stared. "Dude, you look different," someone said, voice barely above a murmur. I mumbled a response, hoping no one would notice how high-pitched my own voice had become. Even sitting in class felt foreign. The way my body moved, my hips subtly swaying with each step, made me hyper-aware. Text messages from my friends arrived constantly. Some were teasing, some curious. "New look, who dis?" One text read. My hands shook as I typed a vague, awkward reply, desperate to avoid drawing more attention. Even my mom noticed something was off. "Your voice. It's different," she remarked casually, and I forced a laugh, wishing I could disappear into the floor. The worst moments were in public. Every glance felt exaggerated, every whisper magnified. Strangers stared, not in malice but curiosity, and I could feel my panic rising. I avoided eye contact, kept my head down, and felt the crushing weight of exposure. At home, she watched me with that unnerving, calm smile. "You're learning," she said once, as I paced nervously around my room. "This is only the beginning." Her words sent shivers down my spine. The fear was constant, relentless, but a strange, uncomfortable curiosity began to creep in. At lunch, I sat quietly, picking at my food. Friends whispered behind their hands, and I could feel every subtle change in my body with each movement. My chest pressed against the seat differently, my hands rested delicately without meaning to. I realized with a pang of horror that I was becoming more feminine with every passing hour. Not just outside, but instinctively, in how I moved, gestured, and even spoke. I wanted to run, to hide, to be anywhere but here. And yet, part of me couldn't stop watching. Every reflection, every glance, every subtle change pulled me in with an addictive fascination. I was terrified, embarrassed, and utterly captivated all at once. By evening, the isolation at home made it worse. Alone, I studied my reflection in the mirror, tracing the subtle curves along my body, the softness in my features. Panic clawed at me, but curiosity took root too. I touched my lips, my cheeks, my collarbones and whispered, "Is this really me?" Her voice floated from behind me, calm and teasing. "It's your new reality. Embrace it." I swallowed hard, my heart racing, unsure whether to resist or surrender. The boy I was, reckless, naughty, carefree, was slipping away, replaced by someone I barely recognized. And yet, a spark of exhilaration shone through the fear. Public spaces became battlegrounds of anxiety. Every glance from strangers, every whisper behind me, sent waves of panic through my body. Yet, with each encounter, I noticed something unexpected. I could feel the power of attention, the allure of presence. Even fear had a strange thrill. Compliments, curiosity, admiration. They all hit me like a jolt, leaving me dizzy and oddly alive. By the end of that first week, I realized something terrifying. I was no longer just reacting to change. I was beginning to inhabit it. My body, my movements, my voice, they were slowly becoming natural. I was learning how to exist as her girl, even as the boy I once was faded into memory. When I was alone, away from prying eyes, the real transformation began. She had left me a small collection of clothes and makeup, a wardrobe that belonged more to a dream than reality. Hesitantly, I picked up the first skirt, its fabric soft and inviting. Sliding it on, I gasped at how it hugged my hips, tracing curves I didn't even know I had. My reflection startled me. I touched my cheeks lightly, applying the blush she had shown me how to use. Foundation, mascara, eyeliner, it all felt alien, yet intoxicating. Each brushstroke changed not just my appearance, but my perception of myself. My lips, soft and full, caught the light differently, and when I tried to speak, my voice rose in pitch, smooth and melodic. I blinked, amazed. "Is this me?" I whispered to the mirror. I twirled slowly, feeling the skirt sway, the top cling gently to my chest. My fingers ran along my hair, now falling in soft waves over my shoulders. The sensation was dizzying, soft silk against my skin, the gentle sway of hips, the rhythm of movement I never knew existed. Panic mixed with an undeniable thrill. My body was changing, yes, but so was my mind. A part of me wanted to run, hide, resist, but another part wanted to explore. I tried shoes next, heels, delicate and unfamiliar. The first steps were wobbly, awkward, and embarrassing, but soon I began to feel a rhythm. My body adapted, hips swaying naturally, shoulders relaxing, hands gliding gracefully. I was learning. I was becoming. And with every movement, my confidence grew, tiny but persistent. I began experimenting with different outfits, pairing skirts with tops, dresses with soft cardigans, every combination revealing new facets of my changing self. Makeup became a ritual. I traced my lips with gloss, lined my eyes carefully, and brushed my cheeks with soft blush. Each detail heightened the sense of fascination and control. When I whispered to myself, "I look beautiful," a thrill shot through me. It wasn't vanity, it was recognition. Recognition that the girl in the mirror was real, powerful, visible. I began mimicking movements I'd seen women make, crossing legs delicately, tilting my head while speaking, gliding hands along smooth surfaces. Every gesture made me feel lighter, more alive, more hers. The most difficult, yet most intoxicating, exploration was my voice. Speaking aloud, practicing the subtle rise and fall, the soft lilts, the breathy tones, I could feel its effect. Even alone, I noticed a change in how I perceived myself. My voice felt intimate, alluring, a new instrument of expression. It was both embarrassing and thrilling. I laughed quietly, softly, delighted at how natural it was beginning to feel. I tried sitting at my desk, crossing my legs just so, adjusting my posture, feeling how differently people might perceive me. It was strange, thrilling, and frightening all at once. Every movement, every glance in the mirror was a discovery, a step further into a persona that was becoming more than a forced transformation. It was becoming a self I could inhabit. Curiosity led me to experiment with subtle social situations. Texting her, I tried different tones in writing, playful, teasing, coquettish. She responded with gentle guidance, her praise sending warmth through me. "See? You're learning. You're becoming her," she wrote once. And the words, they sank deep. I was no longer just the naughty boy who had teased, dared, and laughed at the world. I was becoming someone entirely different. Someone fluid, soft, visible, empowered. I began to practice gestures in the mirror, twirling hair between fingers, tilting my chin with subtle confidence, walking across my room as though the floor were a runway. My reflection smiled back, alluring and familiar at the same time. Panic was still there, lurking in the edges, but curiosity and delight were overtaking it. Every step into femininity felt like a secret thrill, a private rebellion against the boy I had been. By the end of those first private sessions, I realized something terrifying and exhilarating. I was addicted. Addicted to the feeling of transformation, the subtle power of allure, the sensation of inhabiting a body and persona that responded differently than anything I had known. I was hers, yes, but a part of me was beginning to claim her as my own. Even in secrecy, I began leaving little touches of myself in the world, wearing a favorite dress, adjusting my hair just so, practicing a smile that felt genuine. Each reflection in the mirror, each small victory, was a step further from panic and a step closer to empowerment. I was discovering the intoxicating thrill of becoming visible, of being noticed, of embracing femininity as something more than a punishment. It was becoming liberation. After weeks of private exploration, she decided it was time to take me out into the world. "You've learned the basics," she said, her voice calm, almost commanding. "Now it's time to practice in public." My stomach twisted. The thought of strangers seeing me like this, soft curves, delicate features, heels clicking against the pavement, made my chest tighten. Fear and excitement warred in me, leaving me breathless. The first outing was a trip to a small cafe. She guided me through the door, her hand resting lightly on my back. Instantly, heads turned. My heart hammered. Whispers floated across the room, soft but audible. I could feel my pulse in my throat, my palms clammy inside the gloves she insisted I wear. But she squeezed my hand and whispered, "Breathe. You're hers now. Own it." I swallowed, straightened my back, and stepped forward. With every step, I felt the sway of my hips, the delicate balance of the heels beneath me. My hands grazed the edge of the table as I found a seat, and I noticed the subtle shift in how people looked at me. Not just curiosity, but admiration, intrigue. I whispered, almost to myself, "I'm hers." Once seated, she encouraged me to order for myself. My voice trembled at first, higher pitched than I expected. "See coffee." "Please," I murmured. The barista's eyes lingered, a small smile on her face. My cheeks burned, but another emotion surfaced, thrill. Someone was seeing me as I was now, fully visible, and I could feel a strange confidence rising. We walked afterward, window shopping. Dresses, skirts, delicate jewelry. All of it suddenly seemed attainable, as though my femininity unlocked doors that had always been closed. I caught my reflection in a storefront window and paused. My hair framed my soft face perfectly. My skirt hugged my hips, swaying gently with each step. My chest rose and fell naturally, makeup flawless. For the first time, I smiled at myself, not nervously, not with panic, but with recognition. This was me. Hers, yes, but undeniably me. The next outing pushed the limits further, a small party at a friend's house. My anxiety surged as I stepped out, heels clicking against the street. Every head turned. Whispers floated through the crowd, "Is that? Wow, look at her." My pulse raced, and I wanted to vanish. But I remembered her words, "Own it." Inside, I realized something astonishing. People didn't just notice me, they treated me with a new kind of respect. Compliments poured in, curiosity too, but it wasn't mocking. "You look amazing," someone said. My lips parted, soft and melodic, and a quiet thank you escaped. I twirled subtly, letting the skirt move naturally, feeling the power of attention as a tangible, thrilling force. With every interaction, my confidence grew. I laughed more freely, spoke more easily, moved more gracefully. Even my gestures began to feel deliberate, empowered. I was learning not just to exist as her girl, but to inhabit the space fully, commanding attention without force, soft yet undeniable. One evening, we went for a casual shopping trip. She handed me a delicate blouse and skirt, smiling. "Try this," she said. I hesitated, then slid into the outfit. The fabric clung softly, accentuating curves, highlighting features I'd never appreciated before. I twirled in front of the mirror at the store, and for the first time, I saw someone confident, poised, feminine, and utterly alive. We walked through the crowded streets, and I began to notice the difference in how strangers interacted with me. Heads turned, eyes lingered, a smile here, a whisper there. The thrill was intoxicating. My heart raced, but in a different way than before. No panic, just awareness, and a growing sense of power. I could feel the change not just physically, but mentally. I was becoming comfortable in my new skin, blending fear and excitement into confidence. By the time we returned home, I was exhausted, but exhilarated. Alone in my room, I examined my reflection once more. Hair perfect, makeup flawless, curves undeniable. I traced my lips lightly, whispered to myself, "I am hers, and I am me." The forced transformation had begun as fear, as confusion, as shame, but now it was evolving. I was discovering the thrill of visibility, the subtle power of attention, the exhilaration of inhabiting a body and identity that felt alive, soft, and undeniably compelling. Every outing, every glance, every whispered compliment became a step further into confidence. I was still learning, still exploring, but the panic of the first days was fading, replaced with something new, curiosity, empowerment, and a budding sense of pride in the girl I was becoming.